What's going on, all you gamers? Today we're back with a little bit more Outriders. What we're covering today is how you can kind of prepare for the new DLC that's just around the corner, and that's Worldslayer, and probably what you should be doing with some of your equipment and your inventory space. So if that interests you, stay tuned. That's coming up next. Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to be going over my thoughts on Outriders and what you can do to kind of prepare, get ready for that Worldslayer DLC, and how just to make things good for your character, ready to advance as soon as it hits in just over a week. Now the first thing I would say is if you've got any characters that you do want to level up, get them a little bit towards endgame, now is the perfect chance. As you can see, this character here is only level 19. If I want them to kind of be endgame ready or be very prepared for the Worldslayer DLC, I'm going to have to play through the campaign as such, get them to level 30, and then try and get through as many CTs as possible. The CTs now, or the challenge tiers as they're called, are transferring straight over to the Apocalypse tiers, which can go up to 40. If I manage to get them up to CT 13, 14, 15, it corresponds and I'll be able to jump straight in at that level when the Worldslayer DLC hits. So anyone you're really looking forward to playing with in the new content, it may be advised to try and get a little head start, but don't worry too much if you haven't got the time for that. I believe you can just jump straight in at level 30 when the DLC does drop, although you won't be quite as geared up and you may have to work your way through those new Apocalypse tiers a little bit more so. But jumping over to a main character of mine, and I'm going to show you exactly what you probably want to be doing with your inventory, how you're going to be using your old weapons and armour to kind of prepare for what's to come. So this is my main character, my Pyro. Absolutely love the class. I've already started this. If you're anything like me and you've been playing for quite some time, you probably had an abundance of items. I've been clearing out my items as I go, and I still almost had 4 on everything. So if I go over to my space here, this is with me clearing out a ridiculous amount. As you can see, everything up until a couple of days ago was completely chock-a-block. But here's the thing, and I'm probably going to be the bearer of bad news to quite a few people. The stuff that used to be god rolls is no longer in the new DLC going to be classed the same. It will, well, it kind of will. It is still classed as a god roll. You will still be able to upgrade them, but in pretty much all circumstances, unless you're using them to level up a little bit at the start and get through a couple of the Apocalypse tiers until you find better gear, because these ones cannot go to Apocalypse variations, so they will never be able to get that third mod slot, they won't be the best thing you can have for your character. So even though it may pain you, even though it's taken an absolute age to get hold of a few of these, like this one right here, a perfect example of a god roll, absolutely amazing, 99.4k. Dread to think how long it took me to get one of these, and now I could quite easily dismantle it and not think too much about it, because when the new Worldslayer hits, the Apocalypse versions will be able to drop with that random third mod slot, meaning it will almost definitely be better in pretty much every variation unless I'm very, very unlucky. Exactly the same for your stash just over here. I would say if there's anything you absolutely love at the moment and want to keep hold of just in case in future content they decide there's a way that you can actually upgrade these, keep a few in your stash or offload them to a kind of mule or secondary character. Say you can create a new character, make one of those and offset some of them over to him, or just palm these off to some of the players that you've already created and then dismantle them in order to get those kind of tier mods that you may be missing on other classes. That's pretty much the best way to do things at the moment. Only hold on to the things that you really, really cherish, but eventually all of these here, all of your armors, weapons, pretty much everything, because they're not Apocalypse variants, at very, very endgame for the Worldslayer DLC, they will not be the best. If I show you this just here over from Reddit, this from the Outriders community manager, he has been dealing with a lot of questions pretty much since the start of this game, and he sums up just here, you will be able to do exactly the same, the crafting is going to be the same, meaning that you could level these up as you go if you wanted to, but it will cost you an awful lot of resources, and probably just grabbing up those blues, purples, greens, whatever it is as you level is going to work out a lot quicker for yourself and a lot less expensive. But ultimately he says because they're not Apocalypse variants, you will not be able to upgrade them currently. Like I said, maybe in the future if you did want to hold on to a few of the best things you've got, but don't count on it, and I would say the inventory space is definitely more important at the moment. Now another thing, looking at one of the kind of end game videos they showed us, I'm sorry to tell you, it looks like the stash will be staying at 100 unless they've changed something since this. It's got 100 on the screen, so that's why I'm kind of recommending clearing out a lot of it, because you will be overwhelmed with stuff, especially with these new legendaries coming, because you just won't have enough to kind of carry everything, to be fair, especially if you're after one or two different variations of the same armor pieces with different mods on. Another thing, I haven't seen it confirmed or not confirmed yet, but I don't believe, because they've not put anything out, I don't believe we're getting loadouts.
But why?
That was one of the things I've wanted since the original game. If it doesn't come, it's going to be an absolute nightmare there, and there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing, but I haven't seen it anywhere, so I think loadouts are also still not on the agenda. Another thing, if you're trying to prepare for Worldslayer, don't forget, if you need to get a lot of drop pod resources, just bop over to this table just here. Make sure you're doing the missions. The higher the CT you can do will definitely benefit you. If you can do a boomtown really fast or anything such as that, you're going to earn loads. If you're after gear, at the moment, probably wait for this fella just here. Save up your resources and you'll be able to buy some nice stuff when the Worldslayer DLC hits, exactly the same as you can now. They've already showed it in a video. It's going to be very, very similar to how it is now, except you can also get the Apocalypse versions dropping in here. As you can see, you can get the Apocalypse versions dropping in here. It doesn't show any of the new stuff, but I would imagine that probably will jump in there as well. Even if it can't, you'll be able to get some nice Apocalypse versions just from doing this. However, if we have a look, it does say that you need the new resource of Spice, which can only drop from certain enemies. So you may have to work your way up a little bit in the ranks and make your way towards that end game before you start getting a few of these. But definitely worth either kind of acquiring a few of those drop pod resources or saving some, just so that you can boost yourself up. And of course, if there's anything nice in here, you can buy it, dismantle it, and then you're going to have the mod for yourself. Also, don't forget, if you did need any kind of currency, you could always pop over to here, sell off some of your drop pod resources, and you'll be able to get scrap on the right hand side there. Or if you need some titanium, you'll be able to sell off some drop pod resources and get that here. So Tiago's definitely going to be handy when that Worldslayer DLC hits. So yeah, just a quick one from me, not the happiest one if you didn't know about any of this stuff, because dismantling some of your gear is going to be a nightmare, especially if you've been kind of working towards it or it took you a long time to get it, as it definitely did me. But with how much gear is going to be dropping in the DLC, I honestly think just get rid of a lot of your stuff. Keep maybe the best things that you really want to on an alternate character or a mule as such, if you're hoping that one day they do allow you to kind of change it up to an Apocalypse tier. But for the moment, work on the characters that you want to get ready for the DLC, work on clearing out a little bit of your inventory for your character and your stash, and lastly, if you need any drop pod resources and such, make sure you do a few CTs, get yourself some drop pod resources, and then you'll be good to go for when Worldslayer hits. Also, finally, I would say, probably don't burn yourself out. It's only a week away, give or take now. The worst thing you can do is completely smash this game to pieces so that when Worldslayer hits, you're already feeling a little bit burnt out. You want it to feel fresh, you want it to be nice, so play this game, do what you can on it, but ultimately when Worldslayer hits, if you're going to be playing that a lot, you will be cracking through everything as you go, you will be getting a lot of drops. The main thing I would say, probably make sure you got enough space to carry it all, and then you'll be good to go. As always, 4Things Gaming, 4Things Xbox, take care. I'll see you on next day.